So here we are, July 5th, 2024, taking the Highline route that is west of Lillooet. Just absolutely spectacular in here. So where did I drive today? Well, I did this counterclockwise loop from Lillooet, and I'll just show you here. The very first part, the 56 kilometers, is just a terrific road out of Lillooet. It's asphalt, and it would be considered a great sport bike route, except for the fact there's a few gravel sections where they had to do the construction through the rough mountain passes. But lots of switchbacks, lots of high embankments, lots of no guardrails. Then we'll come to the purple section, which is what I'm going to be, one of the parts I'm filming here today, the route to Seton Portage. And then the yellow route is called the Highline route, and that's from Seton Portage down to the Pemberton Portage Road. Then from there I come out on the green, that 39 kilometers, which is a great asphalt country road, nice winding its way to the main highway. Then come to the 99, which is the blue highway. That is essentially the highway from Vancouver all the way up to Whistler, Pemberton, and is the Duffy Lake Road, which is one of the top sport bike roads in British Columbia. So that was fantastic to drive. But let's focus on the purple section and the yellow section for now. So here I am getting ready to start. I'm about to cross a dam here. There's a water truck coming. I'm in a bit of a hurry. I want to get ahead of the water truck. Had I gone to the right, kind of in behind me, I would have been taking the route to Goldbridge. But here I am, I'm crossing the dam, my camera dies, I get it started again, come through the tunnel, and now I'm on the one side of the dam and headed to Seton Portage. And so I came through where the star is on that inset map. I'm on the left-hand route, and the right-hand route is the way to Goldbridge. Something for my 2025 plan to do some exploring back in there. So this is part of my trip from Calgary. Bombed out to Lillooet, did the Big Bar Ferry, which was the previous video, and this is now mainly the Seton Portage route and then the Highline route. And what I really like about this is, so now as you're on these routes, it's all about elevation changes. So you are just either gaining elevation, staying at elevation, losing elevation, climbing again. It is just a wonderful, wonderful place for an adventure motorcycle. So what I'm riding here today is a Honda CB500X. It's got the Rally Raid conversion with the level 2 suspension, you know, bash plate, stuff like that. I've got my panniers on, but my tent and everything is left behind at the campsite. I'm probably carrying about 30 pounds of tools and water and cameras and food and some emergency provisions, stuff like that. So I'm traveling alone, and you know, I see on YouTube, I see people doing some of these routes, and they never really describe, you know, how difficult they are. So I thought, you know, that might be a good thing to focus on this video. So again, traveling alone, 450 pound bike, some 50, you know, 30 pounds of gear with me, coming through here. Ideal weather conditions. So it's been dry for a while. In fact, it's quite hot. It's probably about plus 20 as I'm coming through here. Going to get up to plus 30 later on in the morning. It's probably about 9 o'clock here. And now we're going to work our way down into Seton Portage. So what you're seeing here is an average rider. An average rider with lots of kilometers of experience, but still very much an average rider. I've got a TKC80 knobby on the front, so that's a 50-50 tire, but it's about half worn out. And on the back, I've got a TKC70 Rocks tire, which is about a 70-30 tire, so 70% highway, 30% off-road. So not terribly aggressive, but it's working fine under these conditions. I've got my ABS disabled, so both front and rear ABS are disabled. So I do have to be careful when there is a steep section, especially with that 70/30 rear tire, not to get it started to skid. But, you know, that's just an awareness thing. So just working my way down here, and of course, all the time, you know, your eyes are just being deflected away to the scenery. It was just a spectacular morning coming through here. And I'm constantly going, well, what do I show in the footage? What don't I show in the footage? Because it's all really something else. Of course, bicycling, that would be pretty tough, especially climbing those hills. So in here, on the way down to Seton Portage, I'm just trying to show you it's kind of hairpin switchback, just the perfect type of riding. And I do this fairly quickly. Now, I'm not saying I do it fast, not with speed. It's just that I'm traveling alone. So I don't stop every, 15 kilometers and go, holy, did you see that? What do you think of this? Let's get a couple of pictures here. Let's do a selfie, or, just trying to take it all in. So this is one of the last switchbacks coming through down to Seton Portage. Came across this Westphalia. Looked like it was a 4x4 jacked up, pretty nice looking rig. And I'm working my way down to Seton Portage. So great little town. I've heard there's fuel here. I didn't see the fuel. Didn't need the fuel. And so now I'm going to get onto the Highline Trail, the Douglas Trail. What a great name. So one of the hardest things is getting that leg thrown up over that seat on that bike. Getting it started and going, okay, let's do this. We've seen other people do this. How hard can it be? Well, like I said, it's ideal conditions for me today. So I am convinced if this was wet, parts of this would be incredibly greasy and terrifying. So if you're going to do this route, I would highly recommend, watching for good weather, because on a blue sky day, some of the vistas and views that you're going to see coming up are, just something that become etched in your mind. And you go, what else could I be doing today? I mean, when you're doing this, it just seems like you're in the perfect place. I can't think of anywhere else to be when I'm doing this. And you're completely focused, because while your mind is being swept away with the views, you have to be fully focused on this road. So it does pay to stop from time to time and just catch your breath and, look at the skyline and look down at the lake and look at the engineering feat here, because this road is put in place strictly for putting this power line through. So it becomes a great access trail. Again, from the footage I'd seen before, I didn't really get some of these vistas. Maybe they were going the other direction. They didn't really talk about, the difficulty of it. All I can say is this route is on my hit list to do again. I'm going to piece it together with a few other routes. I could see some other exploring to be done in the area. I just had, bombed out from Calgary because I had the opportunity. I'd seen these on YouTube and I thought, I want to try it. Today I've got the camera mounted on a chin mount, not on the mirror. So you'll get a bit more, bobblehead stuff, but, I just, have to look. It's hard to keep just looking straight. And as you can see, the road's not too bad. Some of the rocks that come off the stuff on the side are fairly sharp though, so you have to watch out for your tires. And this is another good thing. If you can go light, then you're going to have less likely a chance to puncture a tire or something like that. As I'm doing this, you can see that we are coming through some trees in sections. So again, it's getting warmer and warmer, but there is enough shade that this is a very nice route. It's not like Gang Ranch where you can be out in the open for quite a bit of it, and in that 30-degree heat it can be quite something. What do you say about something like this when you see it? You know, you just take it in. And then, you know, I don't usually use the microphone on the GoPro. I never know whether it works or not, but there's a section here where I did decide, hey, I should try saying something out loud. So, you know, let's see how that turns out coming up here. Good Friday morning. Wow. This is just spectacular. Yeah, so, you know, pretty much what I'm, you know, telling you here about, you know, how I'm feeling about doing this section of riding. And it is fun to, you know, share this type of ride with anybody who watches this on YouTube. But when you're actually doing it in person, you know, it's a lot of fun to have a partner. I don't mind riding alone. I just tend to go a little bit, like I said, faster, or I maybe hurry through it a little bit more. Here again, you see gaining more elevation, coming through those switchbacks, climb, 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 then descend, 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 you know, climb, climb, climb. And I really, you know, went through this because I filmed this whole section, and it's probably 45 minutes coming through here. And I filmed, I think, the whole thing, but I'm going, well, you know, I can't show the whole thing. I think what's important is to give people the gist as to what it looks like, so, you know, they can assess for themselves. You know, I think I'd feel comfortable on that route. I can see what he's talking about. You know, I certainly have filmed the most, you know, difficult stuff. Again, it's dry, so it's just not that difficult. But as I'm trying to crop stuff out, you know, every time I get to the next bit of footage, it's just beautiful. And I'm going, well, do I cut that or do I cut the previous stuff? So, you know, thanks for bearing with me. Thanks for, you know, coming along and watching this. Pretty soon we get to the one steep section. It's not, you know, all that difficult. Again, I just had to be careful with my, you know, ABS, making sure, because it was loose gravel going down it. I wanted to make sure I didn't get that, the wheels starting to skid a little bit. And, you know, coming up the other direction, you know, it could be tough. I wouldn't stop on it coming up, and I think it would be pretty tough to stop on it going down, but we'll talk about that a little bit more later. And again, the entire power line is just along this huge lake. So definitely, if you're out in that area by Lillooet and you're wondering, what should I do for a day, part of a day, 4 hours, I would definitely go out and do this route. Now we're getting up to where the steep section is. Coming along, and I'm driving, and then out of the corner of my eye, I see this bus. Now, it might have been a bus for workers or something like that, but yeah, that was something to see way back in here, because I know what I've already driven, but now I'm coming down the steep section. And while it's not that steep here, it does get a little bit steeper ahead. And I had some very good advice before I did this route. MX Collector reminded me, hey Doug, you don't have to stop on the really steep sections. In fact, it's really hard to stop on the really steep sections. What you need to do is just keep your speed in check. Do not worry that you can't stop in that steepest section. Get yourself through it, and then there'll always be a place to stop. So for me, that was good advice, because often I would find myself going, I wouldn't be able to stop here. But as he pointed out, there's no reason to. Yeah, that was steep coming down that. You definitely want to make the bridge. Just saying. So just as a quick review, as an average rider, would I ride this fully loaded with panniers on my 500? Absolutely. 100 pounds of gear, loaded up, taking it easy, I could do it. And I would do it alone. Would I do it on a 1200? Yeah, not so sure. But, if you do have a little tip over, you can offload the bags and pick up the bike. But it'd be probably something I'd want to do with someone else. And then in my whole section of riding this Highline Road, that was the only vehicle I met. I did see other vehicles parked at the earlier section near Seton Portage. I don't know whether they were hiking in there or picking mushrooms or what they were doing, but I didn't see anybody traveling on this road. And here I take a last stop, look around, kick that leg up over the bike, and head down into town and onto the asphalt and swing my way around to the campsite. So, if you got any questions, any comments, I'd love to hear them. Thanks for coming along. Hope you enjoyed it. Average rider, terrific terrain.